Welcome back to the parillaworks channel. My name is John, and that was my beautiful daughter Nora. In this video, I'm going to show you how we made a mosaic portrait as a Mother's Day gift for my wife. Getting started, I gathered various pieces of scrap wood in a couple different species. Walnut, cherry, maple, and purple heart came from scrap, while wenge and bloodwood were from turning blanks I purchased. To generate the mosaic, I used a program called PhotoBricks, which is originally intended to create mosaics out of Lego bricks. The program is pretty easy to use. I only enabled red, orange, black, brown, purple, and white as the color options because those were the wood colors I had on hand. I set a resolution of 96 by 80, which means this mosaic would have 7,680 pieces. Choosing the resolution was tough because I wanted the image to be clear, but I didn't want this to take forever. Once the image was generated, I went back and altered any spots that needed some fixes. From there, the program gave me a list of pieces I needed, and based on a few rough calculations, I estimated how much stock I needed for each color. The milling process was straightforward but monotonous. I jointed two faces and then ripped all of the pieces into little boards. Then I ripped those boards into little sticks. I wanted each piece to be 3/16 by 3/16, so these sticks were ripped to a rough quarter by quarter. From there, I brought them all down to final thickness at the drum sander. The bloodwood, wenge, and purple heart are quite hard, and I did a number on the old sandpaper on the drum sander. They ended up burning some certain spots, and I think it caused some deviations in the overall measurements of those pieces. This in turn led to some complications with the placing of those pieces. I taped 8 or so sticks together and took them to the crosscut sled to cut into final little pieces. This seemed like the best way to get the task done because each stick needed to be crosscut 18 to 20 times. I had 2 lines marked on my sled for 3/8 and a half inch, and each cut was somewhat random, landing on or between these two measurements. The canvas for this mosaic was a 1/4 inch piece of MDF. I covered the MDF with 1.5 inch wide double-sided tape. This would give the pieces a place to secure it while they were being glued to each other. And then I got to picking and placing. This took a while. At first, I didn't really have a method in mind, but eventually determined that doing manageable batches was the best way forward. Each strip of tape could hold 7 rows worth of pieces. I then divided the 80 columns by 10 to get batches of 8 by 7, for a total of 56 pieces per batch. This was a manageable batch that allowed me to mix up the task of picking pieces versus the placing of the pieces. These 56-piece batches took me anywhere from 7 to 8 minutes to do. More mixed parts of the mosaic took longer to pick, while solid blocks of color were quicker to pick. Nora, come here.
I did.
I used a small glue bottle with a precision tip so that I wouldn't get too much, if any, glue squeeze out. The glue is Type-on clear, so if there was any squeeze out, it would be clear and not alter the colors of the mosaic. Outside of the first column pieces, each piece got a dab of glue on 2 sides before being placed in its spot. Here's how long this process takes without being sped up. As you can see, it takes quite a while, so I contracted out some of the work.
Dada.
Can you give me one? Can you give me one? Thank you.
Dad did it. I did this. I did it.
Hi, Nora.
I did it.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I just did it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Dada cheese. Dada cheese.
Nora, say cheese.
Dada.
One of the first questions I get about this project is how long it took. From my estimates, based on the small batches, I would say between 18 to 20 hours just to pick and place the pieces. Over that span of time, it was sort of hard to see if this thing was turning out nice or not. After each session, I would take a picture of the mosaic just to see my progress compared to the last picture I took. Certain parts were exciting to get done, like the hair on her forehead and the eyes. As I neared the end, my progress seemed to speed up. That might have been because I finished this the night before Mother's Day. Anyway, with all the pieces placed, it was time to build a quick frame. I squared up the mosaic at the table saw and glued on the first pieces of the frame. I have the mosaic perched up on a half-inch piece of MDF so that I can conceal a French cleat later on. Once those dried, I trimmed them flush back at the table saw. Then I glued on the other two pieces. They were trimmed with a handsaw and flush trim bit. I also reinforced these joints with some walnut dowels. After some sanding, I added a few coats of spray lacquer. I've had the idea to do something like this for a while, and it turned out better than I could have expected. More importantly, my wife loved it and was super surprised. She's the best mom and deserves this and more. Anyway, I gotta go get started on her Mother's Day gift for next year. Thanks for watching.